Okay. So this is a call and response. So we'll do the mantra and then we'll do call and response. So I'll sing it and then everyone else can sing along. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Nibrajamare Nirvishanshanyavari Vashata Deshatarine. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Asari Gaura Bhattavrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare
Pura Pramanande. Hari Hari Bol. Okay, so that was some kirtan. So we'll speak a little bit about some philosophy, just briefly. So thank you everybody for being here. Really appreciate it. So this is a temple. We are called ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. This is an international society, a world confederation for the elevation of consciousness, not only of human society, but of all societies of living entities. And this movement is specifically a scientific process called Bhakti Yoga, which is meant to elevate the consciousness of every single soul in existence, actually. So that's the process of Krishna consciousness, which is described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's an amazing, he was a mendicant. He had a family, but at the age of 24, he became a renunciate. So he had wife, mother, so many things. And based on his teachings, we have this practice. So we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which according to the ancient texts, which we study, the ancient wisdom literatures of India called the Vedas, right? Veda means knowledge. It's a Sanskrit word. So these ancient texts are written in Sanskrit, and it includes knowledge about everything material as well as spiritual. And one who really gets down to the bottom of it, or to the end of this knowledge, he starts touching on the spiritual topics. What is spiritual? Spiritual, another word for spiritual is transcendental. So transcendental means beyond the senses. It's beyond the senses. Transcendental, right? So the senses are controlled by what? The mind, right? It's like a computer system which gains information from all the senses. And it analyzes it. What is the analyzation? What does it do? Roughly, in your own words. Reject and accept, right? We experience some emotional response or some physical response sometimes to some certain stimuli, right? And what happens is we get some thought, then we get some feeling, right? And then we have a will to act in a certain way. It's very interesting that the mind is a computer system which is analyzing the different inputs from the body. But what's beyond the mind? Sometimes we get the mind has a thought, then we get a feeling. And sometimes we catch the feeling. Somebody says, "Hey man, I don't like you. All right, I don't want you to be there. Why did you park here?" Or something like that, right? Then we get a thought. Who is he? I'm the boss. Who's this guy? Then we get a feeling. Anger, right? I should be telling him what to do. Then that feeling is really sometimes very intense, depending on the conditioning of the mind. The feeling is very intense. So when the feeling becomes intense, what is able to check the feeling from turning into willing? Because the will is, I'm winding up, the punch. It's going to come, right? Sometimes. Or maybe I'll say something back to him, which is a little bit cutting, little bit, spicy, something, right? little something, say back. We have this feeling. So then the intelligence checks the mind. And we say, actually, I need a good relationship with this person because we were supposed to cooperate. We're supposed to do something together, which is bigger than the both of us. And, Hare Krishna Vinit. So this intelligence can check the mind. So then instead of willing to do something, which isn't a wise decision, you could say, then we check the mind and we stop the feeling from going to willing. So what's amazing about this Bhakti Yoga tradition, this Krishna consciousness, this movement based on the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is you get the perfect spiritual tools to elevate the intelligence and to actually get a higher engagement. Instead of getting some satisfaction from letting my feeling go to willing and acting it in a certain way to satisfy, more or less my own sense of self or my false ego, that I'm the boss. He should be listening to me, not the other way around. Then we check that by higher intelligence. We have the spiritual tools. So the spiritual tools or the spiritual technology which we use in this movement given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is a wonderful spiritual tool to upgrade your intelligence. Then you can check the mind and feeling, then you can will to act in a way which isn't just beneficial for our false sense of self, but for every living entity, right? So if I'm only interested in yoga, spiritual life, transcendental life, because I have some feeling that I want to do something right with my life. I want to do something big. I want to go somewhere. I want to help somebody. I want to be happy. I want to make others happy. So all these are very pure emotions. All of these are very pure desires, actually. And when those things start to surface, that means that there's the rising of the mode of goodness, right? So in this material world, we were speaking about the mind. So based on certain stimuli that come into the field of the mind is conditioned to respond in a certain way based on the three modes of nature. So the three modes of nature are goodness, passion, and ignorance. Or light, right? Activity, or this propensity to want to act or, exhibit one's will. And then also the mode of ignorance or darkness. Knowledge, right? Activity, and darkness or sleep, laziness. So depending on whatever modes are there, then some little bit of the desires from our real self are present. So in the mode of goodness, we have the real spiritual desires, like I was saying, to do good to others, to elevate, to help, to actually reach some super amazing, destination, to go somewhere, to be somebody, not in a type of a prideful way, but really trying to be ourselves, I guess. Like to be real, to be authentic, to be truthful, to be merciful, to be clean, right? To be austere. These are the pillars which this movement is based on. And these are the spiritual tools like Bhagavad Gita and mantra meditation. These are the type of spiritual tools which help you develop those foundational principles, right? Mercy or compassion, truthfulness, cleanliness, and austerity. So the spiritual tools that we're going to kind of dive into tonight, right? We're speaking about the mind. So in the Bhagavad Gita, there's one very wonderful verse. It's a Sanskrit text. And it says that wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly bring it back under the control of the self. Right? So whenever we get that feeling that we have to act in such a way to support conditioning that we've received throughout this journey, this little sojourn in life, right? Instead of getting carried away by that feeling, the stimuli is analyzed or processed in a certain way, and a feeling is produced. I should react in this way. Then it's bubbling up. It almost becomes willing. I will say something. I will act. I will retaliate in some way to protect my sense of identity. So in the Bhagavad Gita states, instead of doing that, bring it back, bring the mind back under control of the self. So the secret is control your mind, conquer your mind, right? Then your real self, or you, the soul, spirit soul, you can actually decide, you can navigate rather than being pulled, right? By the mind, by feelings. We can actually consciously live. We can decide. What's very interesting is that power to control the mind. It's a gift. And that gift can only be received in the human form of life. This is really interesting. If you look at the animals or the living creatures, there's also living creatures like fish, barnacle. This is an interesting type of living creature. A tree, a vine, right? They're also living creatures, embodied beings, embodied souls. But they don't have the power to control the mind. They also think. Their thinking is limited, though. They are carried away by the modes of nature. There's a phrase in Sanskrit, Prakriti Stani Karshati, that we're situated in this matter. We, as a spiritual being, the symptom of spirit is consciousness. Right? So we, as a spiritual being, Prakriti Stani Karshati, we're situated in the material energy and we're struggling. With what? These three modes. Right? Darkness comes up. And I think that I am something that I'm not. And I think that I'm this body, I'm this name, I'm the fame attached to this body. And when some stimuli comes that challenges that false sense of self, right? That false identity, then some feeling comes. The mode of passion arises, and I'm ready to retaliate, to act in such a way to establish myself or establish the false sense of myself as superior. So this is pretty much what we're dealing with. That's called karshati. We're struggling. So all the living entities in the other forms of life, all the souls in the other forms of life, they don't have the ability to receive the gift to control the mind. But what's amazing is when you receive the spiritual tools of mantra meditation and Bhagavad Gita, this ancient wisdom literature in the Sanskrit language, from the right sources, from persons who are walking that spiritual path, you were given the ability to control the mind and to choose how to deal with the stimuli that you experience in this material world. So that's the point of this movement. That's the whole purpose of ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, that let us collectively receive the gift from the great teachers and saints like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And now our current Acharya is Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So he's giving this gift, this bhakti yoga, these spiritual tools for elevation, controlling the mind. Then we can decide how to react. That's called conscious. Let us become conscious. And as we become more and more conscious and we choose a higher and higher ideals, more cleanliness, more truthfulness, more austerity, more mercy, more compassion, then we'll be elevated and the spiritual qualities will naturally come forth more and more and more. So in Bhagavad Gita, it's stated that everybody is actually eternally, every single living being is eternal individual. This is really interesting. We are all embodied. My consciousness is over here in this bag. right? And Jagannath, your consciousness is over there. What's amazing is that through the senses, you can put your consciousness a little bit further in different, right? With the ear, you're conscious a little bit further away, but more or less, we're limited in this bag, but we don't die. This bag may become destroyed, this bag of bones, but we go on. That's called karma. So Bhagavad Gita, it's also teaching how to deal with the continued cycle, how to elevate in such a way, right? We reap what we sow. So how to move in this life in such a way, not to be bogged down. So the best method, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this Bhakti Yoga process, the best method to actually bring the mind under control of the self, to withdraw it, to actually tap into those higher ideals, those higher, motive operandi, how to navigate. The best way is through the Maha Mantra. That's the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, this one here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we as eternal living entities, we as eternal souls, right? We have to find some process by which we can eradicate our karma, what we've sown. Every time we step on the earth, undoubtedly there's some creature beneath my foot. Because the nature of this material world is living entities are all pervasive. They're everywhere. I can't light a fire or drink some water without eating somebody. That's pretty far out. So I have to reap what I sow according to the law of nature. But when we practice this Maha Mantra, when we bring the mind back under control of the self to the sound vibration of this Maha Mantra, then we're actually performing transcendental activity, spiritual activity, which actually eradicates our built up karma, whether it's good or it's bad. Good and bad. These are two words which are more or less for the goings on of this material world. Real good and bad, good and bad only exist from a certain perspective. But when we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, when we hear the sound vibration, right, then we're performing transcendental activity, which goes beyond good and bad. So this is what we're meant to do. We're meant to bring the mind back under control of the self. The best method in this age, as stated by the ancient wisdom literatures, Kali Santarana Upanishad, right? And other scriptures or other wisdom texts, they describe that this Maha Mantra, 16 words, 32 syllables, Hare Krishna, like that. This sound alone can deliver one from all the reactions that we actually accumulate here. So this is the best of transcendental meditations. This is the best of mysticism, is to simply absorb the mind, absorb the consciousness, bring the attention to the sound of the name, sound of this sacred formula for peace, a sacred formula for spiritual elevation. So maybe we can have some questions. Any discussion? Anything that we should bring out a little bit more? Okay, Jagannath. If you want, you can use this.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu, for this wonderful class. I was just a little bit confused because we hear this a lot in Eastern spirituality that we should bring our consciousness to a certain point, whether it's Buddhism or Hatha Yoga or it's bhakti yoga, but for some reason it's really difficult to do this, because we're not so familiar with bringing our consciousness to one point. So my question is there like a way we can be more conscious of our consciousness? Is there a practice for that? Or do we just have to kind of like, or do we just kind of have to like, trudge through the jaundice or the material disease of not having not being attracted to the holy name or meditation in general? Is there a way to cure this disease that we have?
That was really nicely, put forward. I really like this topic because we're interested. Okay, we can understand theoretically. I should be conscious of where my consciousness is. I should be aware of where my awareness is. I become aware of some sound over there. If I don't know that my consciousness or my awareness has gone there, how can I possibly bring it back? So that's first step, is to become conscious. First step is to become aware. Then we decide where to direct our awareness. What's amazing is the best way to become aware or to elevate past the stage of darkness or ignorance, right? Unawareness or dull awareness or sleepiness, lethargy. This is dominated by the mode of ignorance. Good thing for us. We aren't ignorant on the spiritual level. We're just being temporarily affected by some coming and going of these modes, which are kind of like waves in the ocean, and we're getting crashed around. Luckily for us, we're unscathed, right? Because we are the spiritual entity, within this body and this mind and this intelligence, false identity. Those things are actually crashed around. And I'm actually seated on a chariot. The senses are pulling me here and there, and I'm seated on the back, the soul, and I'm going for a wild ride. So knowledge is the key. Goodness, light, elevation. The best way to cultivate light, knowledge, is through this practice of bhakti yoga. You go right to the spiritual platform. So we chant this mantra. We try our best to direct our attention. That itself brings us out from darkness. And then the goal is to be situated, consciously aware, consciously directing our attention towards the spiritual, towards the real self of the self. Right? So it's the means and it's the goal. Full consciousness, full awareness on the spiritual platform is the means and the goal. So it requires practice and detachment. Practice and let's keep going. Let's keep churning. Let's keep fighting. Right? Let's keep trying. And detachment. When essentially, we're interested in happiness, right? There's nothing wrong. It's natural. There's a saying in the scriptures, Ananda Maya Vyasat, that we're pleasure-seeking individuals. There's nothing wrong. But how we're getting pleasure, right? How we're getting pleasure depends on which mode is dominating at the current moment. Mind will say, sleep is very nice right now. And at another time, he'll say, no, don't go to sleep. Stay up. It'll feel good. Right? It's very interesting. So these are different modes of nature that are affecting the mind. And based on that, we have some idea of how to be happy. So we're interested in yoga to be happy, right? So then when we get a higher taste from our spiritual practice, then we're going to be fixed up. Then we're going to be going very steadily. Because then the practice of yoga, of elevation itself, is the tasty part of our life. Spiritual practice is what we live for. Who can give that taste? Guru, sadhu, saints, saintly, elevated sages, mystics. These people have taste in the spiritual practice. So contacting them through vibration, hearing the sacred sounds, that is actually going to help us get the taste for spiritual practice. So in one sense, we position ourselves in such a way to associate, just like a crystal. In the ancient wisdom text, it states that association is like a crystal. Whatever you put next to the crystal, whatever light there, it was going to reflect. So we're like that. If we put ourselves next to those great saints and sages, then we'll start to reflect those qualities that they have. And if they have taste, if they're relishing activity on the spiritual platform, and we contact with those people, we hear from them. What is their philosophy? How do they think about life? How do they live their day? Where do they stay? Can I spend some time there? All right, let's do what they do. Then you'll get the taste for the spiritual practices, right? So then when you get the taste for the spiritual practices, the goal and the means, it's right there. Because the means itself is giving us pleasure. And the whole point of it reaching perfection is to be supremely happy, pleasure, filled, blissful, satisfied. So if we somehow get some taste for the path of yoga, for the journey of self-discovery, quest for knowledge, if we get a taste for those things, then we're already attaining the goal that we were after. But what's amazing about spiritual life, real yoga, is it just gets better. It just gets better. So to become conscious of where our awareness has gone, right? That's a practice in and of itself. Now that you know that you should be aware where your consciousness has gone, that's a good step. Now you can identify when it's traveled, and you can also pull it back once you know where it should or should not be. There's different steps. And wherever we're at, then we start. So, do you have the time, Krishnendu? Thank you. Thank you. All right. Do we have any more? Something else that we could touch on? Anything. It can be from here or something else. Yeah. You can give us a few minutes and we move on.
Hello, my name's Lucas, and this is my first time here. This is all very interesting and very new to me, and I'm really liking it because I want to be on a higher spiritual level, and I'm also a recovering drug addict, so I go to like NA and AA meetings, and it's all about God-based material, and I think like this belief will really help me. I want to start coming back more. I recently, I want to talk about something. I recently just like quit my job yesterday. I'm a roofer, and my foreman, which is my boss, is a really hateful and disrespectful person. He never made me feel good about myself. He always, talked down to me and cussed me out. And every time I did something wrong, he would tell me that and how bad I am, and how much I suck at what I do. And so, I called my boss yesterday and told him, and I asked him if I could be put on a different crew. And he said, "Yeah, I hear Walmart's hiring," and he hung up on me. So yeah, I quit, and it kind of sucks because like when he was yelling at me the other day, like in my face, screaming at me, I didn't know what the best reaction was. My first reaction was to either walk away or keep yelling back. Because I did yell back at him, and what is the best spiritual response? What was the best spiritual response? What that could have been? Like, what is that? Like what better spiritual response could I have made other than yelling back or walking away? Like taking it or being walked on, because it gets to a point where I feel like I'm taking it, but also I'm being walked all over. So I didn't know what the best response was to take, but because I also don't want to be verbally abused like that anymore, because no one deserves that. You know what I mean? And I like, as good as the pay was, I'm not going to be treated like that anymore and have that amount of disrespect aimed towards me anymore.
So really that it's very brave for you to share, from your own personal life. And we appreciate it because it touches on, it's this knowledge, it's very real, it's very useful. So in terms of how to navigate, at that moment, right, we can understand, we can foresee, we can see the result a little bit ahead. We may have some intelligence guiding us, right? And if we have our spiritual ideals, then we can always check the result that we can foresee down the line a little bit through a certain course of action and see if it actually lines up with our spiritual goals. If we are continually associating with persons who are very demeaning, low consciousness, anger, greed, envy, madness, illusion, then we will be affected by that. Those tendencies also will come out in us. So we're meant to associate with the saints, and sometimes we just know when to pick our battles. And it's not that we're pushovers in spiritual life. The greatest warrior, Arjuna, he is a great warrior. He's the greatest yogi as well. He spoke with Krishna on a battlefield of Kurukshetra. Bhagavad Gita is a song between them. So we'll talk more about some of these things. So it's always good to give it some time, give it a little space, think before we act. You can't go wrong there. So thank you so much for coming, everyone. It's great to see everyone here. And we're going to do RT now. The priest will blow a conch shell. So we can all rise up. You can leave everything where it's at right now. And we'll just step to the front and we'll be singing a song tonight. So just after this, We'll be doing a lecture from a guest speaker, so please stay on, and then we'll have a wonderful spiritual dinner. Thank you, Krishna.
Check. Remember that there was a gentleman yesterday locally?
Shiva Jaya Jaya Gora Chande Aroti. Vakine Nitai Cha Pamigadadhara Nikate Advaita Srini Pasa Chatratara Nikate Advaita Srini Pasa Chatratara Siya Chegora Cha Radna Singhasani Arati Korim Brahma Adi Devagani Narayani Adi Kori Chamaradulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Vasu Goshadigaya Shankar Bhaje Kanta Bhaje Bhaje Karatala Madhuramne Ranga Bhaje Paramarasa
And if you see anyone coming later, please request them to come over here and sit. Sri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari He Nath Narayana Vasudeva Sri Sri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari He Nath Narayana Vasudeva Sri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari He Nath Narayana Vasudeva Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Sunday Fest program. Is anyone new here for the first time? Any newcomers? Welcome. And welcome to others also who are coming second, third, fourth, fifth time, whatever the times are. Thank you for coming. So this Sunday school usually happens in many churches. In one Sunday school, the teacher wants to find out how much the student have learned about the subject matter. So the teacher was asking, what is it going to take me to go back to the heaven, go to heaven? So the teacher was asking students were sitting, and the teacher was asking, if I feed the poor people, help the society, will I go to heaven? All the students nodded their head, nope. The teacher said, okay. What about giving some charity to the churches, temples, places like that? Will I go back to heaven? The student said, nope. Really? Okay. What about me taking up some service at the temple, mopping the floors, buying some groceries, cutting vegetables, making flower vases? Will I go to heaven? And no. The teacher was perplexed. I said, please tell me what will take me back to heaven. One boy stood up and said very confidently, you have to die to go back to heaven. Sometimes we make or start thinking a simple question into, with our complex mind, we start thinking so many things, different things. We make our life very complex, even though it can be very simple in many angles. Therefore, with a cool head, as long as our Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, whose the form is right there, he says you have to have a cool head. How can we have a cool head? We can only have cool head if we are a cool person. How can we be a cool person? We can only be a cool person if we know what is life. For many people, life is tough, challenging, frustrating, with a lot of questions, challenges, many problems of relationship problems, job problems, so many problems. So life becomes challenging at times for many people. But what we need to know is life is just not what we think of a short period of time. The birth, the period we live, and to the death. Life is more than that. So I'm going to tell a small story, an historic story from India. In India, several thousands and thousands and thousands of years back, there was a couple, a priestly order couple and a family, priestly couple. Very nice, very pious. And the father, they had one son. The father decided to wanting to do charity. He wanted to do charity for the reason that so that when you give something, you get more. That's a formula. If anyone wants to get more of something, you got to give first. The nature is like that. You take air inside, you be breathing, we inhale. Just think that I don't want to give anything out. What's going to happen to us? If we suffocate and we die. So it's a natural thing for human to, more than taking, to give to others, which is worth it, which is valuable to others. Therefore, this father decided that he wants to do some special sacrifice, very special sacrifice. In the sacrifice, he wanted to donate as a charity. He had many cows in India in all those days. Giving cows is a big charity. So he was giving out the cows to one person after another person after another person. You come, sir, take this cow. Sorry. You come, take this cow. Yeah, he been with me for 2 days. He knows when I say he come, I really meant it. So anyway, so he was giving the cows out as a donation, charity. Interestingly, the couple's son was a young boy, maybe around, is there any kids here? Any kids? How old are you? 7 years? That boy was of your age, 7 years. He was just 7 years. So he saw the father was giving a charity, but then all the cows he was giving was of no use. They can't even produce milk. It's as if they're going to die any moment. If you want to give a charity, you got to give the best that we have. Usually we think that charity means that which we don't use it anymore. But the real charity is what we love, we like to keep. That is what to be given out. That's real charity. So father was giving out these cows which have no use. The son asked, he got really irritated by his father's action. So he said, whom are you going to give me? He got angry seeing his father's doing this thing. So he was out of frustration. He asked, who are you going to donate me? The father kept quiet. He didn't say anything. Again, he gave another useless cow to another person. The son came and asked, whom are you going to give me? So this was going on for 2, 3, 4, 5 times. The father got really mad at the son. He got angry. And he said, this time the son asked, whom are you going to give me? The father said, I give you to the God of death. There is in the Indian scriptures, there's God for everything. There's an air God. There's a light God. There's a representation for every elements that we have. Likewise, for the death, also there's a God whose name is Yamaraj. Yamaraj. So I will send you to Yamaloka, a planet of that God who takes away life of everyone. He told out of anger. By the way, this boy's name is Nachiketa. Nachiketa, young boy. And this story leads to a different topic, but we'll get into that later. So this boy said, okay, I'm ready to go. But how can you go to hell or heaven without leaving the body. We got to die, then you can go. Now, some of you are new to this philosophy, this discussion we are having. It's very important to know one difference. That is, the body we all have functions as long as there is a consciousness, there's an awareness, there's a spark within us. When the sparks departs from the body cannot function. There was a great scientist in Russia, I'm forgetting his name. He was trying to find out what is the secret of existence of human life, or any life for that matter. So he took a mice and he pinned the mice, the four legs of the mice on a table. He pinned it. And then he said, I'm going to find where the life resides. And then he started cutting the tail of the mice. Mice was making sound. It was alive. Then he went on cutting off one of the ears. Sound. Then he went and cut off one of the limbs out of four. He cut the one of the leg. Still it was surviving. Second one surviving. Third one survived. Fourth leg survived. Then he was thinking, then he started slowly cutting some parts of it. As he was trying to remove one out of the another part, but he don't know what happened. At one point, he realized it's no more alive, it's died. Therefore, we can walk, we can talk, we can see, we can hear, we can smell, as long as the spark is within us. In Bhagavad Gita, the book that we all follow, that Bhagavad Gita says that spark is called soul. S-O-U-L, soul, Atma in Sanskrit, soul. When the Atma is there, we can function. When the Atma goes out, that's called death. When the Atma enters to the body, that's called birth. So, coming back to our story, Nachiketa said, well, I'm going to the Yama, the Lord of Death planet. I'll go there right now. And the father then repented. He said, oh, my son, don't go. I spoke out of anger. Please don't leave. And the boy with the same body, he has the power to travel from Earth planet to a different planet with the same body. He was able to travel. And he went to that planet without any spaceship, without any of those, airships or whatever you can flight or whatever you can think of. He just travels with the same body. He was able to go. He went to the abode of death. When he went there, the king was on a vacation. Maybe it's a Father's Day. He went to see his father. His father is sun god, Surya Dev. So Yamaraj went to see his father. If you are not very clear and complicated with the names, don't worry about it. The god of death was on a vacation when this boy went to his house in a different planet. He waited for 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. Finally, the god of death, Yamaraj, came back. When he came near the entrance, he saw the small boy, Nachiketa. He said, hey, what are you doing here? How did you come here? He opens his computer, laptop, and he checks for his name, Nachiketa. Oh, you're not supposed to come here. You have a long life. Why did you come here? You can't come now. So better you go back to your father and mother. He said, I'm not going. What? Yeah, I'm not going. Well, it's important that when a guest comes to our house, we have to treat them well. That is a culture. Culture is anyone comes to your house, we treat them very well. Not a stranger though. But anyone comes, you take care of them, give them a nice seat to sit, give them a glass of water, ask nice, pleasing questions, and you send them off with some gifts. So Yamaraj said, I made you wait for 3 days over here. So I'm going to give you 3 boons. 3 boons. He said, the first boon, when you go back to your father and mother, they will not get angry. They'll be happy to see you. The second boon is, there'll be a special fire called Nachiketa Agni. There's a special fire in your name. People will not forget you. And the third boon, you ask. I give it to you. Now your chance. You ask what boon you want. Very interesting. Because that God of death can bestow whatever we want. He has the power to do so. But the boy asked, okay, I have a question. He said, yeah, go for it. What do you want? You want a beautiful girl? You want a young boy? You want a beautiful girl? Brahmachari, you want a girl? He said, no. You want hundreds of cows? No. You want 5 villages? No. You want to be a king of earth? No. What do you want? I just need to know an answer for a question. That's all? Yes. What is your question? And the boy asked, what happens after death? What happens after death? And the Lord of Death said, please, I can give you anything that you want, but I'm not in a position to answer this question. I can double all the offer that I gave you, or double 2 wives, 10 villages, 200 cows. He started doubling, when he's trying to do a deal with him. He said, I cannot answer this question. You're too young to understand this. This is a secret. I can't tell you. And the boy said, well, then I'm not going to go back. I'll stay here. I'm not going to return. I'll be here. Yamaraj tried to convince him as much as possible, but then the boy was so adamant, stubborn. You please keep your promise. You said you're going to give me 3 boons. One of the boon is whatever I ask, you're going to do it. So I asked a simple question. What happens after death? I want to know that. And this explanation is there. What happens after the death is one of the literature called Kato Upanishad. There are many Upanishads. There's one Bhagavad Gita is one of the Upanishad spoken by Krishna. Like that, another Upanishad, Kato Upanishad. And the whole conversation is between this small boy and Yamaraj. Conversation, beautiful conversation. How many of you are interested to know what's going to happen after the death? Thank you. There are some of you may live in overland, or some of you may live near the UMKC over there, that side, this side. But to come to this place, it's not one path. You can come in different directions to come to this location. Like this, when you want to go back to your home, there are different ways you can take. I am coming from St. Louis. So when we took highway, the highway was blocked. So we had to take another road to come to Kansas City. Likewise, in the death, at the time of death, there are 2 paths. In Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita speaks about it. There are 2 paths. I'm going to keep it simple rather than complicating with this language here. There is a path of smoke. Dhumadi Marga is called. And there's a path of light. Archadadi Marga. This is in the 8th chapter. Anyone who dies, they have to go either in this path or in that path. The difference is when you take a path of light, you never have to come back into this world to go through whatever we are going through now. That's one-way ticket. One-way ticket to heaven. When you go to heaven, you never come back. Whereas another is hell. It is a 2-way ticket. Where you go there, you suffer, you have to come back. But this heaven, what I'm talking about, is a very special heaven than the heaven of this world. That's called Vaikunta. The spiritual world. That spiritual world is beyond the heaven. Therefore, whatever action that we perform in our life, that determines which path we are going to take at the time of death. If you do nice, good activities, good deeds, then you will go to heaven. If we do all sinful activities, you go to hell. If you do activities of good, but not expecting anything in return, but do with devotion, you go beyond the heaven, which is called the spiritual world, called Vaikunta, where you doesn't have to come back into this world. Now I'm going to tell some secrets, what Yamaraj told to Nachiketa. At the time of death, what happens is there will be certain indications. If it's a natural death, there'll be some indications. So the soul which is residing inside the heart, the soul is residing in the heart at the time of death. Step by step, things will get shut down. Our senses will start reducing its function. Seeing will come blur. You won't be able to hear properly. The smelling senses will reduce. The speech will reduce. Your movements will reduce. Everything will reduce. The Atma is ready to depart from the body. The soul is ready to depart from the body. At that time, what happens is, from our heart, there are 101 veins are there. You have the veins are there in our body. There are 101 special veins are there that goes from the heart through the head and various part of our body. And out of this 101, there is one special vein which passes from the heart, goes all the way to the top over here, this portion. It gets connected to the top of our head. So anyone who has performed devotion to God, anyone in the life perform devotion to God, they will take the route which goes from here and pops out and goes in the path of light to the world where they don't have to return back. Whereas there are 100 paths for one to go to hell. 100 path. Therefore, Yamaraj, the god of death, was giving this explanation to this boy. So our purpose of our life, many times we ask this question, what is the purpose of our life? How we get caught into so many things that's happening in our life. There's one man, because we try to find happiness in some way or the other in our life. But whatever the happiness that we are trying to find in our life, they're pretty much very temporary. It doesn't last for long. There was one man, a merchant, and he was walking through the forest. Somehow he got lost, this merchant. But he spotted that there was a tiger following him behind. So he was trying to escape from the tiger. He was running. And the tiger was chasing. He was running. Tiger was chasing. He don't know what to do. But unfortunately, while he was turning and running like this, he didn't see there was a big well. He fell into the well. That well, so deep that he was continuously falling down. Such a deep well. While he was falling down, it's a discarded well. There's no water underneath. As he was falling down, there was a branch. He got hold of the branch. Somehow he got hold of the branch. Now he sees up, the tiger is looking at him down. The man was thinking what to do. When he sees down, scaringly, there were snakes. There was venomous snakes under on the well. So if he goes down, snakes are waiting to bite him. If he goes up, tiger is waiting to eat him. This man was in between, stuck like this. While he was not knowing what to do, there were black color mice and white color mice. They came from the holes of the well and they started eating the branch. Just imagine, you have to really imagine the situation. You are in a well, deep, dark well, where there's a tiger on the top and the snakes on the bottom, and we are holding to the branch, and the mice are coming in, biting the branch. What's going to happen? We know shortly. It's going to break, crack and break, and he's going to fall down. At that time, he lifted his head like that, where from somewhere over the trees or somewhere, a drop of honey fell into his tongue. Drop of honey. He tasted it and he thought, wow, so nice. And he lifted his head, looking for another drop to fall. So he was enjoying the drops of honey. Interesting. We in our life are doing the same thing. We don't know when the death is going to come to us. Any moment. Any moment. We've been tortured by the waves of this illusion, Maya. But we are thinking, I'm going to live forever. Let me enjoy my life. So tasty. So tasty. But we are actually, as day goes, we are one day short to our death, one day closer to our death. Yes or no? Right. If I'm celebrating my birthday today, that means minus another year, which means I'm closer to one more of my death. I'm getting closer day by day by day. But what I am thinking, ahani ahani bhutani gachantihi yamalayam. But I am thinking, well, I'm going to be here for a long time. I have still time. No problem. Let me enjoy the honey. When I say honey, whatever we try to enjoy in our life. Therefore, the purpose of human life is to understand why I have taken birth. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Life is short. Let me do something. Try to understand purpose of my life, which will take me back to God. Take me back to God. Therefore, it's important. We don't, sometimes people think that, it's okay. I'll close up with just one statement from Mahabharata. There was a question asked, what is so much amazing in this world? And the answer is, ahani ahani bhutani gachantihi yamalayam. Every given second, people are rushing to death. But who's remaining, he's thinking, I'm just 20 years, 30 years, 35 years, I still have time. But the death doesn't go according to the age, correct? The baby dies, the teenager dies, old man dies. Therefore, whatever the time frame that we have, we don't know when we are going to die. Let's utilize God-given body in the service of God. Try to understand more about God. Engage in the service. Take life serious. With that said, you're all here. Thank you all for coming. The easy way to remember God, as the previously has been told to you all, the very easy way to remember God is by chanting, calling out the name of God. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So let's take an opportunity to chant the name of the God and be in the association of people who can help us in our life to progress spiritually and make this life a successful life. At the end of the death, when we die, that's a real test. At the time of death, are we able to remember God? Or are we remembering our dog? Right? It matters. If you're remembering your dog, then we'll take birth as a dog. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam, yam yam vapi smaran bhavam, whatever you remember at the time of death, that is what we attain. Tajatyante kalevaram. At the time of death, whatever you remember, that's what we will attain. Therefore, it's important as much as possible. Remember Krishna, remember God, chant his name, be in the association of the devotees. Take advantage of this wonderful, beautiful temple that's here. It's called International Society for Krishna Consciousness. It is not Indian Society for Krishna Consciousness. International Society for Krishna Consciousness. It's open for everyone, irrespective of your color, your gender, your nation, whatever it is, this door is open for everyone, because irrespective of which nation, what color you belong to, we are all living beings. God is one. We are all Atmas. So let's all come together, glorify the Lord. Thank you all very much. If there is any one question, we can take, because we have another plan for next 10 minutes. Anyone have any questions or comments? Yes, sir. Yeah, nice, good question. So heaven is two-way ticket. Hell is also two-way ticket. Heaven is called Swarga, which is within this creation. Therefore, you go to the higher planet. Once your punya karma is drained, all the good credit, you got a credit card, 2 credit card, sin credit card, like a SIM card, sin card, right? Another one is a punya card, good deed card. You spend that. Once the credit is over, we will be taking birth again into this world. Therefore, either going to heaven or going to hell is not a solution. Only by performing bhakti towards Krishna, one can go beyond the hell and heaven. That is a spiritual world. Spiritual world. Therefore, let's take this as a serious matter. And to anyone else want to say anything? I'll just still one part, and then we'll do a next program. This boy, the teacher was asking the students, what do you want to become? That when you grew up, the boy said, I want to become an engineer. Oh, good. What about you? You said, I want to become a teacher. What about you? I want to become a nurse. What about you? I want to become a businessman. Okay. What about you? I want to become a millionaire, have a house in California, Hawaii, and I want to have at least 10 cars, and then companies all over the world. And the teacher turned back and asked this girl, hey, Christine, what do you want to become? She said, I want to become his wife. So be smart. Krishna consciousness is a smart program to easily become wife of Krishna. That means we are all Prakriti, we are all Krishna's property. Krishna is the only husband. With that said, thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Now, please stay. We have a very, very special couple of announcements. I'm going to take this in hand. Many of you have been coming here for quite a long time, many years. Some of you may be new, but we, like any other organization, the temple, we have a structure and organization here as well. And until now, this temple has been flourished and taken care nicely under the care of the temple president, Krishna Bhagavan Das over there. Please, Prabhu, get up. Right. Please get up. Krishna Bhagavan. So he's been here, I heard, 9 years. And then for past 4 years, 4.5 years, he's been serving as a temple president. He's done a lot of great things to the temple. Because of him, the books distribution has increased. He's taking care of the construction in the basement that you can see is coming up very nicely. And then the Bhakta program has increased. Many things they've done, achieved, a lot of achievements he have done. We just want to appreciate him on this day. Also want to tell you that he is moving on with his career in Krishna consciousness from his stage of life as brahmachari into a grahastha. Let's say Hari Bol! In Krishna consciousness, it doesn't matter whether you're a brahmachari, grahastha, vanaprastha, sannyas. The idea is to develop bhakti. Whichever ashram fits into you, that's fine. Continue our service. Therefore, he decided to move on as a grahastha. He's going to get married. And also, because of that reason, he has to take up a lot of other family responsibility. He is decided to resign his service as a temple president. So it's going to be certainly a big loss for our temple over here, because of his leadership, how he was taking care of the devotees very nicely. But his service will be on a rock over here in RVC, written in rock in RVC. Thank you so much, Krishna Bhagwan Prabhu. With that said, I would like to invite some of his peers, friends, other devotees, just take a minute of appreciating him, starting from Mahadari Prabhu. And after that, I'm going to make another announcement also. Please stay tight. Actually, sorry. I see Maharaj is here. I'm going to request if Maharaj can kindly speak. Would you like to speak now, Maharaj? Okay, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. So, so I came to the temple 4 years ago, and actually, when I came to the temple, it was the situation was that I jumped into the van, which the devotees take to bring Srila Prabhupada's book across the country. They said, "Hey, we're going to go to this amazing festival. You can come and see what it's like." And I got there to the van and I ate the spiritual food. The spiritual food which I ate in the van was cooked by KB. There was some spinach. I think there was some rice, or maybe it was quinoa. Pasta? Yeah, I remember. So it was very sattvic. I mean, it was very nourishing, fattening, palatable. And it was the type of food I thought monks would eat. So that spiritual food that KB cooked, that kind of gave me some strength. And the monks asked me to join the van and to come to Kansas City. And I came here, it was Ram Navami. And what was interesting is that they were going to leave. They had 10 minutes. And they told me, you have to be back in 10 minutes because we really have to get on the road. So I left the van to get a few things to try to come with them. And then I was late. So I knocked on the van and they said, "You're late." And I didn't know, but KB actually told the devotees to wait for me. So it literally, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for KB. And KB actually also decided to stop traveling. And there was many factors, but he played a big role in helping me come to a higher standard, to really learn the philosophy, start becoming regulated, start chanting my rounds in a more serious way, a more dedicated way. And he gave me a lot of instructions about how to deal with the devotees, how to make advancement in spiritual life. And he's always been a guide and a friend to me. So thank you very much, Prabhu. Yeah.
I'm going to request Krishna Bhagwan Prabhu, please come over here. Go to the back, not visible for you. And anyone who would like to speak to us, please keep it short. I know you can keep on going of appreciation of Krishna Bhagwan. I also want to record these things as you speak. Please come forward.
That's it, you're seeing?
This is
Hare Krishna. So when I first heard about RVC, it was about 2 years back. And I remember I called the temple one day and KB had picked up, and I was looking to become a monk here full time. Thank you. I was looking to become a monk here full time, and KB had told me he was very interested in having me come to the temple and participating. And it was really his enthusiasm that really showed me that he really cared. His enthusiasm to make new devotees, to keep them here, is what really keeps us driving. But anyway, so I came here and I stayed for about 10 days. And I remember him pulling me into the then library, and he had asked me, what is your goal? And I was telling him that, yeah, I'd like to get initiated, and I'd like to be a serious, practicing person. And so we've had a lot of memories. Like he took us to the lake a few times. I don't know if you remember that. We took some prasadam. We bathed in the lake. It was really nice, and he's always been a very encouraging and kind and cheerful person. Every time you talk to him, he's always smiling. He's always, he's got the nicest laugh, and so yeah, I'm really gonna miss KB because he was like a big brother to me, and yeah, but I hope he does big things in his relationship and in his new ashram, and I hope he can come visit us every once in a while. Don't forget about the little people.
Hare Krishna. Congratulations. KB was the first person I met here. I first started coming here on Super Bowl Sunday, and he was so friendly and welcoming and helpful, introducing me to other people and selling me a bunch of books that I'm still reading. But I just wanted to say congratulations, thank you, and I really hope things go quite well for you. I know they will.
Hare Krishna. So I just want to thank you, KB, for all that you've done for me. You've been a really special friend. You're for sure somebody in life that I can say I can trust. And I don't have many people in life that, I honestly can say that about. Lal Gopal Prabhu, you were talking about devotees needing a cool head and that being a requirement. And KB, you certainly have a cool head. You always are composed, and you can handle a lot. You can multitask well. You have that quality where I always knew you were busy, but whenever we spoke or whenever I needed anything, you made me feel like I had all the time in the world. And I really appreciate that. It means a lot. And yeah, I've been at the temple for a few years now. And when I first came, I remember I definitely didn't have a cool head. So I remember a few phone calls with KB very early on where you really encouraged me, to take the initial steps to taking this seriously and making the move out here to RVC. And it's a great life out here, and you've done a lot for this mission, and we're going to continue to try to improve the mission here for Gurudev. And yeah, thank you very much, brother. Hare Krishna.
Please come. I know it's getting a little late, but this is a very important moment for us. So kindly bear with us. It's quite important. Please. Ashmuk, please.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Jai. Hare Krishna. All Krishna Prabhupada Jai. I would like to actually speak on, just not myself, on behalf of our congregation, of our all the devotees. Prabhuji has been very inspirational to all of us. At such a young age, look how young he is, He took this responsibility of the president, and Maharaj gave him that responsibility. So he has to be very well qualified, very good devotional person to do that. And one thing I learned from him always is that he speaks very nice, softly, very kindly, and very gentle, and with a little smile. He has a little bit of a smile while he speaks also. So, he's been a very good devotee, chanting, dancing, doing japa, glorifying, devotional service. So that has been the inspiration to all of us. And so, I'd like to thank you, for being good to all of us, to all devotees. And especially I like to see that I want to see you 50 years from now. Well, not that long. I don't know how long I'm going to be. But please continue this devotion service. And take example from our Guru Maharaj. After 50 years, our Guru Maharaj hasn't been the easy road, but he never gave up, no quit. So please continue that way, because any endeavor we take in our life is never easy. There's always ups and downs. But this is the greatest that you're taking, devotion to Krishna. So anything we can do, to help in that process, we will. And we like to see that you continue this for the rest of the life as an inspiration to all the other devotees. Never quit, never give up. This is the only way. The only way. There's no other way, especially in this Kali Yuga. Harinam, devotional service, prasadam, association of devotees, Krishna Katha. This is it. This is life. So I kind of pray that, this will continue and you'll be the inspiration the rest of your life to all of us. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai.
Anyone want to speak? Yes, you mind coming? We are recording this one, please.
You had to speak.
Speak. With the mic.
KB, I don't think I would have my service if it wasn't for you. I don't know exactly who made the decision, but the day that you and Ananda came to the porch and gave me my service, you gave me my life. And I just want to thank you. And I want to thank you for all the help you've given me while I've been here. When I was struggling with my chanting, when I was struggling with getting along with people, and you helped me through that. I will eternally be grateful to you. And I wish you the best. And I want you to know how much you are loved here by everyone. Hare Krishna.
Anyone? Before we invite Maharaj to speak? Yes.
Hare Krishna. So Magadari Prabhu was talking about joining in the van and meeting Krishna Bhagavan there. I was also in the van. I was kind of egging on Magadari to come. It would be nice. But at one point I was very new. I came here and I wanted to get some training so I could also go distribute these books, which changed my life so much. So that put me into a van, and I was with two other monks. And these monks sometimes can be very strict. A lot of rules and regulations and etiquette and cleanliness. And when you're brand new, it can be difficult to adapt, to take in. And one of the monks I was with was really on top of things. If you're not doing it properly, he might yell at you or chastise you. It was tough. So I often thought about, why am I here? Why am I doing this? This isn't me. But Krishna Bhagavan was always there, and he was always very mellow and cool, and he always pacified me in that way. So I reflect on how in our life we take so much help from so many different people, but then we become more stable, and we often forget all the help that has been given to us. But a big part of the spiritual life is always remembering that. So like everybody's always said, we're indebted to you and your attempts and your service here at the temple. I just picked him up at the airport earlier, and I was telling him that, I don't think much of this would be happening without him, because he decided to stay here and make a commitment here. It gave a lot of others the opportunity to also come and be committed, when otherwise people generally come and go, and there's not so much foundation. So he provided a solid foundation through his service to his spiritual master mainly, but service to all. So thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay, last call. Anyone? Okay, this.
Sorry, I can't pass up the opportunity to glorify Krishna Bhagavan. So Krishna Bhagavan invited us to the Bhakta program through the mercy of His Holiness Dhanira Goswami. And I will continue to be grateful for that, and would like to continue to stay in touch and see how we both progress in our spiritual lives, and be supporting for us, because I'm also married and it's not easy. But it's also awesome too. Hare Krishna.
Okay, with that said, thank you all very much for participating. Now I'm going to request Maharaj to speak a few words. Mic stand. Mic stand.
All that's been spoken is true, and much more could be said. could go on for a long time speaking about Krishna Bhagavan's capabilities and contribution. I think, I don't think he'll mind that we still will not give up, that he's going to stay away for very long. And we'll also keep trying to make arrangements for him to continue with us and give us his association. And if Krishna wants, then he can come back also. Either way is fine, but we'd prefer to have him back if possible. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so that's the first part of the program. Yeah, please speak in words.
That was really embarrassing, but I'm very grateful for everybody sharing kind words and encouragement also. Yeah, just to start off, about 9.5 years ago or so, I met some devotees who were in California where I was living, and they two of them were disciples of Maharaj, who's also my godbrother and godsister now. And because of his encouragement, they were at these festivals, and they were sharing Krishna consciousness with people in that way, sharing kirtan and prasadam, or the spiritual food, and the philosophy. And so I ended up becoming close with them and living with them. And then they offered me an opportunity to come stay here at the temple here and assist Maharaj in his travels. And so before that, I realized that it was his inspiration and his encouragement, or we say his mercy or his blessings through those people that touched my life and completely changed my life, like a 180. And so everything that the foundation of any achievement that I have, I see it as his contribution, because without him, I wouldn't be here, and without his devotional services and interest to spread Krishna consciousness, I wouldn't have been doing traveling book distribution for a few years. I wouldn't have come back here to stay at the temple full time and try to develop the community here. So I'm very grateful to my Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for everything you've done and continue to do, and always surprised. I mean, not surprised, but we're always we can get in our mind, and it's hard to understand great souls, and so we might have some expectations of how things would go, but Maharaj is always like shocking me with how magnanimous and how kind and how encouraging he is with helping me in my spiritual life. And I appreciate all of you. There's so many things I could say about the devotees that have been here for some time, and even the newer people that have been coming around just for a few weeks or a few months or a year or two or so. There's so much inspiration and encouragement that I get from everybody, and especially those that are with me every day. And it's nice to hear their perspective tonight, because I could get in my head and thinking, like, when you're in the service, when you're in the trenches, so to speak, like you're in the flow of things, it could be hard to see how you're impacting people or how you're contributing to a community. And it was really eye-opening for me tonight or today to it was refreshing to see, okay, maybe I did something helpful here. So
I'm very grateful, and I'm also excited. Part of like a big part of this transition was also it. Hopes and prayers that my relationship with all the devotees here will increase and become more close. So thank you everybody very much for your kindness and encouragement, and I look forward to continuing our association. Hare Krishna.
Thank you again, Krishna Bhagavan Prabhu, for all your wonderful service. We wish you good luck for your next part of your life. With that said, Krishna Bhagavan Prabhu, moving on. Now, the board has decided, the board members, the board of directors of Kansas City, RVC, has decided that it's very hard to find someone like Krishna Bhagavan Prabhu to replace someone. But we identified a person who can come to that level and is very enthusiastic, very eager to serve, is filling that position. And that is Mahadari Prabhu. So Mahadari Prabhu, you all know him, is known for his Bhakta program. He is another, from my dealing in last 3 days, he is also like a second Krishna Bhagavan, quite soft, smiling, very kind. So I'm sure he's going to do a great service to serve you all and the deities. So kindly provide your support to him so he can be successful in serving you back. So let us all welcome Mahadari. Haribo. You want to speak a few words?
Thank you so much. Yeah, whenever you were speaking just now, it kind of is making me think that, really, whatever I can do, yeah, that'll be trying my best to do what KB has done a little bit. And I should keep that mentality, and I should try my best to be enthusiastic. So I pray to all the devotees and to all of you, all the acharyas, to Srila Prabhupada and Narasimha Dev, Prahlad Maharaj, Tulsi Maharani, Gaur Nitai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna, that I can do something nice in the service of my Guru Maharaj. So thank you very much, and let us continue forward with chanting, dancing, spiritual refreshment, and thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Once again, thank you all very much. One small request, it's very easy. You can help the temple in many ways. One way is when you come, try to bring another person with you. As simple as that. You don't need to do any big job. Just bring another new person who has never connected to the temple every time you come. You've been coming to the temple for several years, so you can bring another friend. Is it not? It should be a hard one to do. So please bring friends and ask, what can I do for the temple? It's important. The temple can only sustain by your support. So kindly provide your support. Financial is okay, but physically we have to engage in services, commit ourselves to take up some services at the temple. So please help the temple. Thank you. Hare Krishna. It's Prashadam time. Haribol. Thank you.
Also, a special thank you to Lal Gopal Prabhu for coming and livening us and helping us with this transition. Your support for our temple is invaluable, so please help us as much as possible. Hare Krishna. So everybody, thank you for being here. It's very wonderful. So now we'll have spiritual food, wonderful meal that the devotees have prepared for Krishna and offered. So please form a line here at this side. Is that side? Okay. It'll be a clockwise. So start with Jai Keshava on this side. And you can leave the mats here if you like, and you can sit here. You can sit in the chairs as you like. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Yes, Mataji.